Welcome back to the Media Couple, guys. I'm Rory.
And I'm Sophie.
Where we break down the latest in film, TV, and entertainment from an insider's perspective.
Today, we've got a great show. We are talking all things Eurovision.
Oh, I love Eurovision.
Arguably the most ambitious live broadcast there is on television, 100%. I'd say. It's pretty much the Olympics of live broadcast. It's insane. I mean, it goes out to 40 countries. It's got 200 million global viewers. Can you imagine the pressure with that?
Absolutely.
3 live shows culminating in the grand final.
Yeah.
Dozens of cameras, setups, GFX, cues, props, staging, crew. Oh, the list goes on and on.
What doesn't Eurovision have?
I mean, well, exactly. It's got it all. It's got it all. Everything you want right there in one very insane show.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's such a high stakes show.
Yeah,
and I think that, we have to start this podcast off by saying, this episode off by saying that it is a feat in and of itself. There are so many acts that you get to a point where it's just like, how are they actually doing this?
Yeah.
They have such short times in between the acts where they have to turn the stage around. I mean, these guys are, I was doing some research into it. These guys are running to turn the staging around. It's insane. Just to think about how complex it all must be and how much prep goes into that show. I mean, they've got
fair play to them. Fair play to them.
I guess my first thought was sort of like, what do you think it takes to pull it? Or like, what would be your most worrisome moment?
I think definitely the staging is a big factor. Like, because I've seen online as well that they get something like 50 seconds or something to change staging in between acts.
Yeah.
And like some of the staging is massive. You know, we've got like, giant disco balls, like, 100-foot stairs. Like, we've got it all. It's like, it's such a mammoth task. And I think that would be my most stressful point. Like, what if one of your crew slips? What if someone forgets something? What if a part of the staging falls off while you're wheeling it on? What if the wheel goes on it?
Well, I know, because I think this is the thing, right? With live broadcast, it's kind of like theatre, but this is like on such a scale. Because theatre, you have like 300-400 people in a theatre. Mm-hmm. If you mess up one, it's like, okay, we messed that up. Something went wrong. Yeah. This is 200 million people. The stakes are so high.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, give or take 200 million
but
people.
The stakes are high as well because it's all these countries coming in together.
Yeah, exactly. And, obviously, if they do make a mistake, Eurovision does allow them to go again. Mm-hmm. Now, this last one, we didn't have any mistakes in the grand final, but the semi-final.
Oh, yeah.
Switzerland, they had their camera fully cut out.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where, these things can go wrong. Yeah. And when they go wrong, it's on such a global scale.
Yeah.
The pressure on these teams is insane.
Like they really go wrong. On that
they
scale.
do.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I think the thing that would worry me the most would most likely be just being the person who has to call all those timings. Right? The person who's sitting there going, okay, 5 seconds until and 5, 4, 3,
Do you think that person looks forward to Eurovision every year, or do you think they sit there like, it's coming again? I can't take another one.
I know. I mean, it's a small team.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not a small team, but like it's a
it's a very big team.
It's a very big team. But I mean, it's a small group of people who are, managing the whole thing, who have been doing it for a really long time.
Yeah.
And hats off to them. They did a pretty good job, I would have to say. I didn't notice anything when I was watching it, and I tend to sit there and try and pick apart things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I know. Yeah.
Where's the continuity error?
Yeah.
But obviously it's live. There wouldn't be a continuity error. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So they didn't have that. So in my book, they did a good job.
Yeah, definitely. Fair play to them.
Fair play to them.
Yeah, no, hats off to them.
Exactly. But I wanted to talk about the big moment, I would say, that ending. Of Eurovision.
Okay, yeah, it was tense.
It was. Austria v Israel.
It was, I've seen from various like social media platforms. Obviously, I did not attend Eurovision.
No.
Was it Basel?
Basel, Switzerland.
Basel in Switzerland. Represent.
Yeah.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know,
Sophie's,
I was born in Geneva,
exactly.
Switzerland.
That's why we say represent. I was not.
No.
I was born in Torquay.
Devon.
So there you go. Yeah. Little fact about me.
Why don't you give your passport number out whilst we're at it?
Absolutely. It's all the 4s. 3, 2, 1. No, but I mean, it was a bit tense. And what I've seen from online, like clips online, is that they obviously didn't show it on TV, but there was booing. happening in the crowd from various places because Israel, got so close to winning.
Well, yeah. I mean, every time Israel was on,
it happened
on
last
stage,
year as well.
It did. They were booed. I mean, it's interesting because, in similar in how you have in comedies, you've got laugh tracks that go underneath to,
Please laugh.
Laugh now.
Yeah.
Exactly. They kind of did something similar to that, but Eurovision was saying, it's just to make it seamless across all of it. And I can kind of understand that to a certain extent. But even Graham Norton, when we were listening to it, he said, I don't know if you guys heard that back at home, but there was definitely some mixed reviews in the audience. And it's interesting because we just never heard any of
Nothing,
that.
No, it was completely positive. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really interesting. But I mean, I think the most tense part was the ending because all I could think was how is Israel going to host?
Yeah, well, surely it could never have been hosted over there.
And I was thinking,
no chance.
is this going to be a same situation as Ukraine and UK and Austria was going to host whichever way?
Yeah.
Because
that's normally how they do it, right? So is it like the runner-up hosts if the winner can't?
Well, I mean, it only really happened in Ukraine.
Weird,
Don't quote me on that, but in the recent times that I've been watching,
you think that might be the way they do it?
I think that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what was going through my brain.
But also, say if that wasn't the way it was, and if Austria lost and they didn't offer Israel to host them, right?
Yeah.
If they won. Don't you feel like it would be a weird moment? Like, who would put their hand up and be like, "Oh, you can have it here"?
Well, I think that's what was making it also so tense. It was one of those moments where entertainment and politics really intersect.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why. This year it felt bigger than ever.
Yeah.
That political, you always understand in shows as big as Eurovision, something that we all watch, that there is political elements or they're just like, I'm just not a fan, but you know what I mean? Of that particular country, so I'm not going to vote for them or whatever. But this year it felt bigger than ever.
Yeah. No, it did. And I think it made it even more heightened because Austria obviously had the jury support.
Yes.
And then Israel came in and won the public vote. And
interesting.
Very
really
interesting. And so interesting because also quite a few, I think it's Spain and I think there's Belgium, have put in a complaint now to Eurovision saying that, well, not a complaint, but like a formal request essentially to see how the votes actually were counted for the public vote because they didn't necessarily believe or wanted to question it. They
really wanted to win. That's why. They were like, hey, I want to count those.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
But I guess it brings up this really interesting point of, the jury versus the public vote, how those two tend to vote differently. And I was actually thinking about this. I think it actually leans in more to how Eurovision is now. Right? You've got the jury vote, which is made up of professionals within, I think it's 5 professionals within the industry who vote on various different categories. And then obviously the public that vote. But what the jury is looking for and what the public are looking for are two very different things. It's kind of like the traditional industry versus the new wave kind of digital viral moment.
Yeah.
And I think those two are kind of at opposite sort of poles at this point.
It's so different, isn't it? The jury vote compared to the public vote. Like a song that's a bit silly, for example, at Eurovision, which people do, they put up silly songs and fun acts because that's the part of the show.
Yeah.
They always tend to do really well with the public.
Yeah.
Whereas I find the judges obviously look at it a bit differently. They go for just, sort of pure singing vocal range as opposed to this wacky, crazy song. But the public love that.
Well, I think it's one of those things. Is it a song competition anymore? Or is it a show competition?
Yeah, like a talent show. Yeah.
A talent show, which encompasses, should we be looking at judging this more like strictly, half glitter, half technique?
Or Britain's Got Talent, one of those, Yeah,
exactly. Is that what we should be looking at? Is that how the jury should start changing? I don't know. Because what the public and what the jury vote for always tends to be different. And this year, I mean, is no different to other years. It's just very interesting. And I think you add all the tensions and the layers of what's happening geopolitically as well.
Yeah.
And you end up with a whole new host of things that are going on.
Absolutely.
But, talking about Austria and Israel, we obviously cannot forget about the UK.
Yeah.
And lovely Remember Monday.
Yeah, they were a solid performance, I thought, from us this year. I know, everyone says the UK, they're so annoying.
Well, they got a 12 from Italy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They were celebrate, but then
Ciao Bella.
0 public votes.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
That
like,
really
even like,
surprised me.
Even like 4 or 5 would have been like, okay, that's cool. But like, well,
I
not
don't think-
great. But
yeah.
like, 0, they deserved more than that, I think.
I actually really liked their act. I thought they reminded me, visually a little bit of like Sabrina Carpenter vibes.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
I really liked. And I thought they could sing.
That's the difference, right? Like they could actually perform. I mean, those girls were famous off the back of, they did The Voice, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Voice UK is kind of how they were discovered as this band. And they rose to popularity. And I think that Eurovision performance was one of the standout performances of the night.
I thought it was great, but I guess again, Eurovision isn't just about the song or the singing. I don't know, was their song maybe a little bit too, I think it's catchy.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the song.
But sometimes they don't love like overly pop. Was it too pop for the contest,
Could have been,
Like you look at what I was saying about vocal range, the last 2 winners came from more of like an opera background, right? So their vocal range was immense, right?
Yes.
They had an immense vocal range. And it's funny that the same type of singer who won this year, a similar one won last year for Switzerland. Nemo. Yeah, you listen to that song. It's a combination of pop, rap, and opera. It's this hybrid that is just demonstrates people's vocals ranges. And I just think the generic pop songs maybe just aren't that strong anymore.
Potentially, but I thought those girls deserved definitely more than 0 public votes.
Hey, we're going to remember Monday.
We are.
All right.
Absolutely.
Especially on this podcast.
They're not going anywhere. I like them. You girls keep doing what you're doing. You did great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess coming back down to, the public vote versus the jury vote, where Remember Monday did, I actually thought they did pretty okay in the jury vote. They got a 12.
Well, it's always a big thing for the UK. Like the big thing for us is getting onto the left-hand side.
And we got onto the left-hand side.
And we got onto the left-hand side of the screen. I remember us watching it live and I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. We're on the left-hand side of the screen. This is amazing. Because obviously, was it the last year we had May Muller?
Yeah.
No, we had Ollie Alexander.
Yeah.
And then the year before that, we had May Muller. And, you look at May Muller, who obviously didn't perform very well at Eurovision.
Their vocals weren't quite as strong, I would argue, as Remember Monday.
Yeah. And as well, I think it's difficult for us as well because we've had a good run. We've had some ups and downs. We had Sam Ryder the year before that. God.
But Sam Ryder was, in his
special
own...
one.
Oh, he was...
He is a special one.
He is a special one.
He's a special guy.
Yeah.
With lovely hair.
Well, yeah, exactly. Speaking of Sam Ryder, he sort of blew up on TikTok.
Yeah.
Right. And I was thinking also about how these songs in Eurovision kind of go on after Eurovision and have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
And I think the real prize is not necessarily winning Eurovision.
Yeah.
I think the real prize is actually going viral off the back of that song and forging a career in music that is only elevated because of the platform that you got from Eurovision. If you can sing, if you've got a good act like Remember Monday, and if you've got a song and a catalogue of songs, which they have, well, I think those girls have the package. And I think they have, who am I? I'm not Simon Cowell, but you know what I mean. I think those girls have the package and I think they have a real good chance of like capitalizing on this. All you have to do is look at the last top 10 most streamed songs
here we go. Yes.
From Eurovision. 4 out of the top 10 didn't win. Right? Number 2, most streamed song, Snap by Rosalind.
Oh, tune.
Came 20th.
Yeah, that's crazy. And Ed Sheeran picked that song up, right, commercially. I swear he helped her in some fashion.
I'm not sure about that one, but you look at you look at all of them. You don't have to be number 1 at Eurovision to be in that. I was thinking about the other song that we can't talk about on this podcast because it's using potentially a word that might not be.
Oh, that song.
Song,
I know the song you mean.
Serving.
Well, that's what they renamed it officially, I think, on the show. Yeah, they just called it Serving.
Yeah. But I saw that ages ago, if you remember. And I saw that and I showed you and I went, Rory. And I kind of was watching the show. I was watching the song and I was like, yeah, it's okay. But like, why is it? It was on my TikTok.
About it? Yeah.
It was on my TikTok. I was like, why is everybody talking? And then all of a sudden the word came up. And I was like, song. And it's so viral, right? Yeah. And then when it was playing on Eurovision, because it made the final, everybody in the audience was literally screaming the word. And it's spelled Kant. So you can have a think about how that is pronounced.
We just can't say it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can't say it. And but yeah, I just thought it was so interesting how that song, I reckon, is going to go off and have a little mind of its own.
100%.
And I wonder now whether people are writing and thinking about their Eurovision entrances and contests and, you know, performances more in terms of how is this going to be viral rather than how is this going to win.
Absolutely.
I mean, Serving, I feel like
that's a viral song.
But that's what that is.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
And I guess like what you were saying about Snap, you know, you look at the success that record had for that singer to come 20th.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy. And to be one of the most streamed Eurovision songs ever is really impressive. And exactly, like you say, it does demonstrate that, look, if you can go viral off the back of a Eurovision song, you know, you don't even have to win the competition.
No.
So don't worry about it.
No.
You know, you can find masses of success outside of Eurovision. It just gives people the platform, I guess, if you are talented enough.
Well, totally. I mean, I guess in my you know, final moment of all of this, I thought I would, rather than doing the Rotten Tomatoes game, I would do a top 5.
Cool.
So I'm going to give you, or I've already given one away.
Top 5 what?
So top 5 songs, most streamed songs, and I want you to tell
from
me
Eurovision,
right. And I want you to tell me what number they place.
Okay, fine.
So we know that Snap is number 2.
Number 2, we got that. Yeah, you gave that. You gave that away.
In no particular order.
Right.
I want you to tell me where Tattoo by Loreen sits.
Oh, tune. Okay. 5.
You think it's 5th?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you think Manskin's... Okay, and I'm going to butcher this name. Zitti Buoni.
God, it's like I'm in the room with an Italian. It's amazing just how well that came across.
To any Italians I've just offended.
Sorry.
I love
Miss
your food.
Miss Cursey. Where do I think Maneskin? Is it Manskin?
It's Maneskin.
Maneskin.
Isn't it?
I'm going to go with, this was top 5.
Yeah. Most streamed
4.
on Spotify. 4th.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think Tattoo is 5th.
Yeah.
Maneskin is 4th.
Yeah.
All right. We've got, what about Arcade by Duncan Lawrence?
Oh, number 1.
Okay.
Definitely.
And Fairy Tale by Alexander Rybak.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This one. Well, I guess, I'll have to go. Number 3.
All right.
How did it go?
You didn't do too badly.
Oh, good.
So number 1.
Yeah.
Obviously Arcade by Duncan Lawrence.
I just knew it was. That is a tune.
Yeah.
That's
it won.
Banger. Yeah.
It also won at Eurovision.
Well, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? You know, won at Eurovision, most streamed song ever. You know.
Yeah. Snap, number 2.
Now there you go. That throws the whole thing on its head.
Exactly.
20th.
Came 20th.
Yeah.
But it's, second most streamed song.
That's impressive.
On Spotify. Tattoo is 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I got that wrong.
You were close. You were very close. It
Yeah.
also came first, if you remember.
Yep. That's right. Yeah.
The song that I don't want to butcher anymore by Maneskin.
The Italian song by
Not
Maneskin.
Espresso Macchiato.
No, not that one.
No, the Maneskin one is 4th.
Okay, cool.
And Fairy Tale by Alexander Rybak is 5th.
That's got that amazing violin bit where he plays the violin, and that went massively viral on TikTok.
But yeah, those are the top 5 most streamed.
Yeah.
Waterloo is not in the top 5. It is in the top 10 though.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I was going to say, ABBA have to find their way into there.
Oh, of course they do.
That's got to be surely the most famous act ever produced by
I think it's just the
Eurovision.
longevity of what ABBA have had.
Yeah.
Like
I kind of feel like, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like ABBA are in comparison to something like the Beatles.
Yeah.
I feel like every wedding, every disco.
I feel like ABBA's a bit like Marmite though. Some people love ABBA and some people really dislike ABBA.
Well,
I
think, look, that's fine. That's fine. But just so you guys know, on this pod,
are you on Marmite's side?
I like Marmite. I like Vegemite. I like ABBA. So, okay, I'm glad we got there. So now you all know that I was born in Torquay. I love Marmite, love Vegemite, and like ABBA. Okay.
Okay, well, apart from Remember Monday, who else were your favourite acts from Eurovision 2025? Who do you think should have won, or did the right person win?
I can't remember. Was it Denmark? She did the sort of, she had like blonde hair. She had like the quite club track
Hallucination.
I genuinely thought,
I don't know if that was Denmark or not. I do remember the title, Hallucination.
I thought I can't remember, but she was very good. I thought she is in for a good running, because
she got no points in the public vote,
and she
as
was
well.
on the right hand.
Or she might have gotten 3.
No, but I remember when it was going, she was on the right hand side of the screen.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on the right hand side of the screen. No. You want to be on the left. And I was really surprised by that, because I compared it to something like Tattoo, which did really well, and it's quite like a clubby track.
Yeah. But Loreen had already come to Eurovision before.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she knows how to do it. Entity. She knows how to win it. Yeah. I'm just waiting. I mean, until when Sweden want to win again. See, they were in contention, I thought, to win with their quite funny act for Sweden, because they produced some really, really great Eurovision contestants. But it felt a little bit like, you guys don't want to win it again, because then you have to pay for it again.
I know. It's interesting, isn't it? Well, you have to host it. I think it's interesting, because I do wonder how much of that actually plays into it. We'll send a funny act because this year we don't want to win.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things where it's like, how seriously do you want to take it? I feel like the UK always does take it a little bit seriously, but I would like to see them send something funny.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Send, we've got some great talent here. Why don't we send some, not that Morris dancers are funny, but you know what I mean? Let's do something a little bit different from outside the pop world.
Yeah.
Except I did Remember Monday, so maybe I'll eat my words. I don't know. This is why I'm not in charge of Eurovision, all right? I just sit there and watch it.
Yeah. I mean, you can have a job on the crew, I reckon. You'd be quite good at that, I reckon.
I feel like I would just because, you have to, when you get given your role, this is what I've read. When you get given your role, if you're on stage changing the props, you have to not deviate from that line that you are running in, because everything is choreographed so perfectly on stage that if you deviate from your one job, the whole thing comes crashing down. Right? The whole thing's done.
All right, guys, welcome to Eurovision Day 1 camp. We do not deviate. First rule.
I know.
Okay.
I feel like you need a sergeant, drill sergeant.
I reckon they are. I reckon the person in charge is a drill sergeant, and they're I can't
imagine production managing that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's incredible.
I would tear my hair out.
And as well, the health and safety aspect of it, because obviously everyone's highly stressed, right? Yeah. The crew. So it's you imagine running with 100-foot disco ball, and someone slips, and you're like, but what about Sam? Leave him. We can't leave him. Do you know what I mean?
I know. Well, do you know what I also read? So every single artist has their own mic stand backstage.
Oh wow!
That way, when it gets put on stage, it's not the wrong height. So it's literally,
because that has happened in the past. You're bringing it up. Wasn't it Australia or something? A few years ago that happened. Yeah, in a semi-final, they got to the top. They had to put their mic down because they were doing a big thing with their arms.
It was Australia.
It was Australia. And it was the guy who had the mask on. He had a big dress on. It looked great, but he had to put his mic in the thing, and it was too low down, so he just had to hold it.
Yep. I wondered that they probably learnt from that, and the production director was like, right, make some.
But to be fair, that's why it's good to have a semi-final in a way. I know the semi-final, you can watch it as well.
But it's still a live show.
True.
I mean, it isn't the grand final,
but it's not as bad as the grand final.
No. Well, the semi-final is the final sort of test before the grand final.
It's the final before the final. It's weird that, isn't it? It's just mad how words work and things. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
This is one of those moments where the mic needs to be taken away from me.
Now we need Sophie's mic to cut out.
Yeah. Oh dear. But anyways, that's it for this week's podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this, or if you're listening, to follow or leave a review. It really does help more people see the podcast. We put these out every single Thursday, and we'll see you next week, I guess.
See you later, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.